Hello, guys. How are you? This is your money coach, Money Fit MD. How are you guys doing today? I'm well. My week has been going better than my last week was. There's been a lot of good conversations going on that we're all hoping leads to great things in our communities. So that's very encouraging. For today, I do want to tell you guys, I have loved the engagement. I enjoy getting emails from you. I'm enjoying working with some of you guys. But for today, I want you to watch towards the end because I want you to watch till the end. And the reason why is I have a very, very, very important offer to make you, yes, you. I'm very excited about this, and I'm sure you will be too, want to hear about it. So what are we talking about today? We're talking about something really important. I know, I say that all the time, important, because it is important. It's your credit score. So that magical number that a lot of us don't understand, but has impact on your life. So there's been two moments for me in my credit life history that has been probably the most shocking for me. Number one was when I found out that not having a credit card does not help your credit score, right? I'm like, what the heck? I don't want debt. I don't want to use my credit card, but that does affect your credit score. And number two was when I found out that a loan or a student loan that I'd co-signed years and years ago had gone into delinquent, had become delinquent, and that actually affected my credit score. So those were two things that really, really surprised me and sort of shook me to the core. The second one took my score down into the pit. So the things I'm talking about today are the ways that I was able to use some of this understanding or better understanding of credit score to improve my credit score. So stay tuned because this is going to be good and really, really educational, I hope. So first of all, why is it important? Because if you're watching this page, you're probably trying to get your financial life together, right? And you're probably trying to get out of debt. But there's some things that your credit score affects, right? I'm not suggesting that you get into more debt. However, a lot of you may have student loans that you need to refinance. You may have mortgages, or you may be thinking of buying a house. Or you may be thinking about buying investment properties, right? But your credit score affects what interest rate you get in. And those are big item values, right? So I'll give you an example. If you have a mortgage that's $100,000, and because you have great interest, you're able to have an interest rate that is 1.5%, say, lower than if you had a bad interest or bad credit score, excuse me. So what that means is over a year, it's about $1,500 difference that you're paying estimated, just to keep the math simple. So imagine if your mortgage was actually $300,000, so we're talking about $4,500 a year. And most people in the U.S. have their mortgages for 15 to 30 years. So you do the math, it really does add up. If you take that $4,500 and you put it in the stock market, with some mutual fund or ETF, it's going to grow significantly. So that's why this is actually really important, because the better your credit score, the better your interest rates are going to be, the more favorable terms you're going to get for investments that whatever you choose to use your money for. So that's why this is important. Before I go into the steps you can take, I want us to understand the credit score. Because if you understand the credit score, then you will know exactly the things you want to target and the things you really don't want to bother with targeting, right? It's sort of when you're trying to get a score, a grade in school, you could shoot for 100% or you could shoot for 91%, right? And go, well, there's some things that I'm probably never ever going to understand, and I'm not going to bother focusing on those things. So that's why understanding it can actually be high yield for you. You may have heard about the FICO score, FICO. So that's one of the credit reporting systems. There are actually a lot of other options, but this one is the most common one. So I'm going to focus on it for the sake of this conversation. So for that FICO score, it usually ranges between the score of 300 to 850. The higher your score, the better you are. And I think it's 741 is what qualifies as excellent, but the goal is to shoot for higher. If it's higher, then you're more likely to get favorable scores. There really isn't much difference except for bragging rights between 850 and like 800 or 780, but ultimately your goal is to try and get to that range that you see on my screen that talks about excellent credit score. So number one thing you want to actually think about is getting your credit report, your actual report, the detailed score. Why is that important? It's important because that's one way for you to catch errors that may be affecting your credit score. Because remember that those things are reported to 3 different bureaus, Equifax and those 2 other ones. And there are times when some things are erroneous that you may actually dispute, and that's the easiest way to get your score out from dust to plus, right? So if there's something like a credit card that wasn't yours, a loan that was reported as delinquent when that was an error, you can always dispute that with the credit reporting system. But if you live in the United States, you can get one free detailed report every year by going to annualcreditreport.com. With COVID, though, you are able to get that free report more frequently. I believe it's once a month you check. And I don't know how long the COVID deal is going to be going for. So it's going to end at some point. But for right now, you are able to get one detailed credit report score, your actual credit report. Currently. So look at it, look for errors. That's without saying. That's the easiest way to make sure someone doesn't have a house in some random place in your name and just trying to get things organized. So for the credit score, there are 5 components to it that I'm going to talk about. So the first one, and I'm going to be going from the highest to the lowest percentage in terms of how effective it is. So number 1, this represents 35% of your score, and it's your payment history. And this makes sense because it's answering the question of how reliable are you? Are you a good deal or a bad deal? Have you paid the rest of your payments on time, or do you have a bunch of late payments? And usually most creditors will report to the credit reporting bureaus if you're delinquent for more than 30 days. So that one is pretty simple and straightforward, 35%. So the goal is you want to pay your debt on time. You want to pay on time, always on time, no late payment, excuse me. Number 2, this accounts for about 30% of your score. And this is your utilization score, your credit utilization score. So what this looks at is of the cards that you have, of the debt that you have, of the loans that you have, are you at maximum capacity? So I'll give you an example. If you have 2 cards that, for the sake of easy math, your credit limit on them is $1,000 each, okay? And you owe $1,000. You're maxed out on both. So your credit utilization score is the amount you owe over what your credit limit is. Your goal is to make that ratio as small as possible. So if you have 2 cards that are $1,000 credit limit and you've used $1,000 on both of those cards, that's not good for you. So if you've been watching my show and you now have a debt elimination strategy, you've decided that Snowball or Avalanche works for you, and you've decided to pay off this credit card. So now you're shunting all of your money towards this one credit card and you've paid it down to completely 0. You're done paying it. And you're thinking of canceling that card. So what that does is if you cancel that card that you've paid off, now though, you have eliminated that entire card. So now according to your credit score, your utilization score, you're still using 100% of what you owe, of what you have. But if you had kept this card that you're using nothing, you're no longer using it to accumulate more debt, you've paid it off. So now you're owing a total of $1,000, right, out of your $2,000. And that decreases your credit utilization score. This is important because you've been doing all this work, you're trying to get your life together, but those are ways that what you're doing can actually work against you if you don't understand the system. So my point is, if you have any expense, a big expense that's going to require your credit score coming up over the next 6 months, try and be aware and try and avoid canceling your card because that may affect your debt utilization score. All right. And then number 3 part of this one accounts for 15% of your score, and it's the length of your credit history. So the longer you've had credit and been in good standing, the better for you because you're more likely to be trustworthy. So that's another reason why you should think really well if you want to cancel your card or not. Number 4 is 10%. And this one talks about the variety of the cards that you have. So I don't recommend that you go out and get more debt just to increase the variety of your card. And honestly, this one is one score that I really don't care about and I can let go. But if you live in the United States, most of us, as you get older, you do, just because of the way the system works, you do end up acquiring different kinds of different classes of debt. You may have zero on you may owe nothing, but you may have your credit card, you may have your phone bills, you may have your student loan, you may have your mortgage. So by default, you do end up having, as you get older in the system, you do end up acquiring variety of credit or debt classification. Hopefully that makes sense. And then the last part of it that also represents 10% is account inquiry. So a lot of times when people are trying to check their own credit score or credit report, they're like, oh my goodness, I don't want to check it because it's going to ding me. It actually doesn't. If you check your own score, that doesn't affect your score. But there's also a difference between a soft pull and a hard pull. So a soft pull is something that a company will do if they're trying to get more information about you, just superficial information. So for example, when I was refinancing my student loan, they did a soft pull. Soft pulls don't affect your credit score. But when you sign and consent and say, I give you permission to pull my credit, that's a hard pull and that will affect your score. And that stays on, I believe, for about 2 years. The farther you are from the pull, the better. So once you're 6 months out, it doesn't actually affect your score, but it may stay on your credit report for actual detailed report for a long time. So now the question is, with this understanding, what are the simple ways you can improve your score, right? Without having to get more debt, without having to go crazy or nuts. What are simple things you can do? So I have 5 things you can do. Number 1 is stop getting more debt. Yes, stop using your credit card to get more debt unless you're going to pay it off completely every month. But stop getting more debt. That's number 1. Number 2 is let's work on your credit utilization score. And I mentioned that earlier. That's the amount of debt you have over what your actual credit limit is. You want to keep that number as low as possible. And I already spoke with you earlier about some strategies that you can use to try and decrease that ratio. The other thing you can do to help with almost like fooling the system is take note of what your statement closing date is, because that's the date, or I think it's like between 1 to 3 businesses after that statement date is when your creditor is going to notify the credit bureau. So for example, if you're someone that you're just not paying attention to your finances, you've had this big expense, you bought a new bed set or bedroom set or something like that, and you can pay it off, just pay it off before that closing date, because after that they're going to report it to your credit, to the credit bureau system. So the lower the number and the utilization at the time of the credit card or creditor statement report, the better for you, if you care about your credit score. Because there are actually times when I don't care about my credit score. If there's nothing major that we're doing, that I don't have any new use of my credit card or my credit score, then I don't mess it up, but I'm not actively trying to make sure I'm in the excellent range. So keep that in mind. The next thing is hold on to your cards. If you have a credit card that has a yearly fee and you're trying to avoid paying yearly fees, what you can do is you can look at the same credit card company you have, get a 0 fee card, and just have them downgrade. So I've heard that a lot when people do things like Chase, Sapphire, Reserve, and the points doesn't make sense for the amount of fee they're paying anymore. You can downgrade to a card that has 0 or low fee that works better for you. And then number 5 thing that I want to talk about is your automation. So automate your bills. So you don't want to be late. Automate. So just to summarize real quickly, number 1 is pay off your debt or pay down your debt. Don't acquire more debt. Okay. Hold on to your cards as long as possible to get that 10% of longevity score that you do get. Decrease your credit card utilization. Know when your closing date is and use that to your advantage, and automate. Hopefully that's been useful for you. And then, like I promised earlier, I was going to have an offer for you guys. So here it goes. I'm really excited about this. So I'm opening up my panel, my money coaching panel. What that means is that I'm going to be offering new clients one-on-one coaching. What does that mean? So if you're someone that you've always found finances to be crazily exhausting, overwhelming and you really wish that someone could sit down with you one-on-one to help you organize your house. It's like you have someone coming into your house to declutter for you, to help you put things in buckets. Here is it. I can work with you one-on-one, and what I'm offering is this is something that we do over a 6-week period, right? And we're going to have a plan for how to create a budget that works for you. Based on your style, based on your life, that works for you. We're going to figure out a plan for how you can eliminate your debt within a time period that works for you. We're going to have to figure out how you can have your money monthly. You have money left every month. Wouldn't that be amazing? Where you're like, where the heck has my money been all this time? But now at your income, whatever that income is, we can figure out a way to help you find cash in your bank, in your account, in your life, right? Where we can now start helping you have the money that you can use to do whatever you want to do. You can use it to build wealth. You can use it to, expedite your debt paying off process. You can the goal of this really is to help you be free from a financial perspective, have financial peace of mind, financial security. Because what I've realized is when this happens, when you have this, you realize the choices that you have. And you can make choices that works best for you and for your family. And for me, that's been the most rewarding part of organizing my finance, because I've not always been here, right? I've been in the chaos. I've been in the place where I'm like, what the heck is this? What the heck is a 401k? I don't know. What am I doing with my money? I don't know how much I'm making. I don't know how much I'm spending. I'm living from paycheck to paycheck. So I've been there. So I understand the chaos. So if that's you, I want you to email me, moneyfitmd, moneyfitmd@gmail.com. What we do is you send me an email, just say, hi, I'm interested. We schedule a free consultation one-on-one with me where we talk and decide what we want to do with this, if we want to work together. And then from there, we can decide what we want to do and make this the best financial investment you've ever made, because I'm good. I've worked with a lot of people, and I've gotten people from places of no money understanding to places where they can make choices that's important for them and their family. So thank you for watching. I'm excited to work for you. This is a limited offer because I can only take so many one-on-one clients, not patient. You're not my patient, you're my client. And I am looking forward to hearing from you. So take care, have a fantastic week, and I cannot wait to hear from you and work with you. Bye.